Hello everyone, I am Poojalakshmi Lini, a member of Krino Forensics. Today we will be discussing on forensic accounting. This slide shows the table of contents that will be covered in this presentation. Now, the first and foremost thing that pops up in our mind when we think about any subject are the principles and concepts. So, we will be discussing or beginning the presentation with the principles and concepts of forensic accounting. Forensic accounting, just like any other subject, has its own principles and fundamentals, but mainly focusing on solving and investigating financial crimes. There are a few key values that need to be followed by the forensic accountants, like they need to stay fair and neutral, that means no biasness. They should be able to maintain the confidentiality, which means they don't spill any secrets. They should be able to act with integrity, that is truth above everything. Now, what exactly is forensic accounting? Forensic accounting is just like detective work, but in the world of finance. It's the practice of investigating financial information when fraud or wrongdoing is suspected. Think of it as combining accounting skills with the curiosity and sharpness of a crime investigator. These professionals look into the money trails, transactions, and balance sheets to figure out what really happened. They help in legal cases, support the police investigations, and even testify in court. Now imagine you are given a company's books. You are told, "We think something's wrong. Can you find out what?" This is where forensic accounting comes in, and particularly forensic auditing comes in. You will dig deep into financial records such as the invoices, salaries, purchases, anything. You will be looking into the patterns, red flags, or sudden changes that don't make any sense. If someone is stealing or lying, there's usually a trail, hidden but there, and your job is to reconstruct the story from those scattered clues. Let's pause and ask, why do people even commit financial fraud? There's a simple model called the fraud triangle. It says three things usually push someone towards committing the fraud. First, the pressure. They are desperate, maybe they are in debt. Second, the opportunity. They found a weak spot in the system and they take advantage of that. Third one, rationalization. They convince themselves, like saying it's okay, I deserve this, or I will pay it back later. Later, the researchers added a fourth point, capability. The person must have the access, skills, and confidence to pull it off. That's called the fraud diamond. Here are different types of frauds. The financial fraud is further divided into bank fraud, corporate fraud, insurance fraud, and cryptocurrency fraud. Corporate fraud has different bisections, which are the financial statement fraud, securities and commodities fraud. The insurance fraud has several bisections, which are the securities and commodities fraud, healthcare insurance fraud, and automobile insurance fraud. Cryptocurrency fraud is further divided into Bitcoin fraud. Imagine a bank customer shocked to see an amount of 30,000 gone from their account. That is a type of card fraud or credit card fraud. Or a CEO hiding losses to attract investors, that is a corporate fraud. A person faking an injury for money, that is a type of medical insurance fraud. And someone promising huge profits from a fake crypto coin, that is a Bitcoin fraud. So far we have discussed about what is forensic accounting, forensic auditing, what are the different types of forensic audits or forensic frauds. Now we'll be discussing how do we even detect fraud. Let's say you are trying to catch someone stealing. How do you do it? There are three common ways. First, the rule-based system, where you create rules. For example, if someone spends rupees 10 lakhs in one go, that is red flagged. But criminals can learn and avoid these rules too. Second, the statistical methods, where you use averages, graphs, and numbers. If someone suddenly spends much more than usual, you check it. Third one, machine learning. Now we train computers to learn what normal looks like and spot anything weird. It's like teaching the system to be a fraud detective. Still, there are challenges. Sometimes data is missing or fraud looks too much like a normal mistake. It's not always easy. Types of financial statement fraud. Imagine a company trying to look more successful than it really is. Here's how they fake it. They pretend to earn more by showing sales that never happened. They hide how much they spend so that the profit looks much more bigger. They say they own more things like the lands or machines than they really do. They hide debts, making it seem like they don't owe much. All of this is called financial statement fraud. It's like putting makeup on bad numbers to impress investors, banks, and the public. Let's look upon the responsibility of the management and auditors. Think of a company as a moving car. The management is the driver responsible for steering honestly and keeping things in control. The auditors are the inspectors checking if everything is working and nothing is hidden. If either one fails, the whole company can crash. Both the management and auditors must maintain integrity, transparency, and goodwill while they are assessing or maintaining the financial situation of the company. Now, the objectives of management audit, they will look upon the management effectiveness. That means how well the management is working, or evaluate its accuracy to the limit, to identify strengths and weaknesses. What are the strengths and weaknesses of the organization? They will be objected to assess the efficiency and resource utilization of the organization, to review the decision making processes that are followed in the organization, analyzing the leadership and organizational structure within the organization, evaluating the risk management practices that are followed in the organization, and lastly, to ensure that the compliance and governance is adhered by the organization. Reporting financial frauds. How do you report, or what are the process or the organization or the reporting financial frauds? Imagine someone in a company sees something wrong, such as the fake bills, missing money. They can't stay silent. They report it either to manager or an audit team or even outside authorities. Then forensic accountants step in. They gather the proof, trace the money, and help build a case, sometimes even in court. Reporting fraud isn't just about exposing lies, it's about protecting the truth and stopping it from happening again in future. We had discussed about the fraud triangle. Now we are discussing about the fraud hexagon. That is the theory of fraud perpetrator. Fraud doesn't happen by accident. It grows from certain conditions. At first, we had the fraud triangle, which included the pressure, opportunity, and rationalization. Then came the fraud diamond, adding capability, the skill, and access to commit something fraud. Now we have fraud hexagon, with two more factors added onto the fraud diamond, that are collusion, which means working with others makes fraud easier to hide. Sixth one is the justification, that is not really do they excuse their actions, they believe it's fair or deserved. Imagine a person who is stressed, sees a loophole, knows how to cheat, gets others involved, and truly believes it's okay. That's how fraud is born. Understanding all 6 points helps us spot risk earlier and build stronger protections within the organization. Next slide will be discussing upon the litigation support bankruptcy. When a company goes bankrupt, there are often questions like where did the money go? Was anything done illegally within the organization? Forensic accountants help answer these questions. They look at the company's financial records, find any wrongdoings, and support lawyers by giving expert advice and clear facts. Their work helps courts understand what really happened and make fair decisions. Next, the product liability. Product liability means the company is responsible if its product harms someone. For example, if a customer gets injured by a faulty appliance or a spoiled food item, the company can be held legally accountable to that. Forensic accountants help by checking the records, calculating damages, and showing whether the company followed safety rules. This ensures that customers get justice and the company stay responsible for what they sell. Further, moving on to the business valuations. Business valuation means finding out how much a company is really worth of. This is important during fraud cases, disputes, bankruptcy, or when a business is being sold. Forensic accountants do this by looking at the company's finances like the income, expenses, assets, and market value to give a fair and honest estimate. It helps the courts, owners, and investors make smart or informed decisions. Credit or debit card frauds. As we had discussed earlier, credit or debit card fraud happens when someone uses your card without your permission. This can happen through skimming, that is, stealing card information, through phishing, fake messages asking for your details, or even any other online scams. The result, money is taken from your account and it can damage your credit and cause a lot of stress. Forensic experts help track how the fraud happened, who was behind it, and work with banks or police to stop it. Next comes the occupational fraud and abuses. Occupational fraud happens when someone inside a company, like an employee, cheats the organization for their personal gain. For example, they might steal cash or fake expense reports or misuse the company property. This is called asset misappropriation, and it's the most common type of fraud or occupational fraud. It usually happens when no one is watching closely and the person thinks they won't get caught. Forensic accountants help find these hidden actions by reviewing records and exposing their dishonest behavior. Asset misappropriation means someone inside a company is stealing or misusing its assets, like I have mentioned, the money, inventory, or equipment. Like taking cash from the register, claiming fake expenses for reimbursement, using company resources for personal use is the most common type of workplace fraud and can cost companies a lot over time. Forensic accountants investigate these cases by checking documents, tracking the transactions, and finding out who is responsible for it. Check tampering. Check tampering happens when someone illegally changes or uses a check to steal money. For example, that they might forge a signature, change the amount written on the check, or even create fake checks. This kind of fraud usually happens when someone has access to company checks or no one's watching carefully. Forensic accountants help in tracing these changes, matching handwriting or records, and finding out who committed the fraud. False refunds. False refunds happens when someone tries to cheat a company by asking for money back for they don't deserve. For example, they say an item was never delivered, but it was delivered. They return a used or broken item and claim it's new, or they keep the product and still ask for a refund. This type of fraud is common in retail and online shopping. Forensic accountants help by checking transaction records, the receipts, the return patterns, and in order to spot the fake refund claims. Forensic accounting is more than just numbers. It's about truth, trust, and justice. So to conclude the presentation, we can say that forensic accounting is more than just numbers. It's about truth, trust, and justice in the financial world. We saw how fraud happens in many ways, like through the fake statements, card scams, refund tricks, or even insider theft. Forensic accountants act like the detectives. They uncover the hidden fraud, help fix the broken systems, and support legal actions with solid evidence. From catching one dishonest act to protecting an entire company's future, their work truly matters. I hope you enjoyed the session. Please do drop your comments below if you have any questions or if you want us to explain any forensic topic in future videos. We would be happy to cover them. And the presentation document will be shared on our social media platforms. You can directly access the document from there. For more information or queries, you can also reach out to us through our social media channels. Stay tuned for next video to learn with Krino Forensics. Thank you.